Welcome to Druva's LinkedIn Live series in Cloud We Trust. This is episode 10. I'm technology correspondent Lisa Martin, and today we have AWS here with Mr. Backup talking about hybrid cloud trends. Please welcome from AWS, Grant Liu. We've got him as the solutions architecture leader. Grant, we're excited to have you on the program.
Thanks, Lisa. Really great to be here.
Yeah, and he's back, ladies and gentlemen, by popular demand. W. Curtis Preston, Druva's chief technical evangelist. Curtis, it's always great to chat with you.
Always happy to talk about backup.
All right, that's why you're Mr. Backup. All right, so Mr. Backup and Grant are going to talk about essentially three things with respect to hybrid cloud. The first one is we're going to be talking about market trends and what's going on with respect to hybrid cloud from AWS's perspective. Grant's going to dig into that. Then we're going to go into use cases. Why are customers choosing hybrid cloud? We'll spend some time double clicking on each of those use cases. And then we'll leave you with best practices for protecting a hybrid cloud environment. And Curtis will share some insights and thought leadership there. As always, in the next 20 minutes, we encourage you to engage in the conversation with us. Drop us a question and a comment. And if we've got time, we will get to that. All right, guys, let's get started. So Grant, first question for you, hybrid cloud definition. In your perspective, what is it?
Great, and thanks again for the partnership, and thanks for having me, Lisa. Really great to be here. First, though, personal opinion. Look, hybrid cloud, the word hybrid is overloaded. Everybody has a different definition of what it is. But what I'm going to do today is I'll go through the patterns that we're seeing in the market from AWS's perspective. So what we're seeing with customers is, given the fullness of time, we do believe at AWS, obviously, we believe that a majority of workloads are going to end up in the public cloud. Now, that's going to take time, though, and customers are going to take time to get there. So as they're doing that, obviously, they're still going to have on-premises workloads. They're going to have public cloud workloads. And we can't forget that also they're going to have workloads in disconnected environments as well. Oftentimes, when we talk about hybrid cloud, we leave out that last category. So given those three places where workloads can run, we're seeing 3 to 4 patterns or use cases, if you will, with customers. The first one is customers want to take what's in their on-premises data center, networking, infrastructure, storage, memory, compute, analytics. They want to be able to extend that, if you will, into the public cloud. So this is an integration play. How can you make networking work better between the data center and the public cloud, for instance? So that's one pattern. The second pattern we're seeing is folks want to, for workloads where there's extreme low latency requirements, or you need to be able to be close to the data, for instance, on a factory floor. Maybe there's an application that needs to be close to the data. These are not going to be moving off of on-premises anytime soon. And so folks want to be able to use the same services, AWS services that they use in the public cloud alongside those applications. That's the second pattern. Third pattern we're seeing is, like I said, disconnected environments. We call this edge compute. So there's disconnected environments where there's limited processing power. There's usually limited connectivity. So we need to solve for being able to do some sort of analytical processing or pre-processing in those environments. And we call that edge compute. And then the fourth one, right? There's building blocks that I talked about for building applications, but many of these customers, most of the customers, have large footprints with existing ISV solutions. So customers are also asking us for compatibility between those existing on-premises ISV solutions and what's going to be in the public cloud.
So 4 patterns, and we'll dig into those patterns or use cases in a second. But Curtis, I liked how Grant shared his transparent thoughts on hybrid cloud from a definition perspective. We all know that in tech, so many different terms have very different applicabilities. What are your thoughts on hybrid cloud?
I'm fine with a pretty broad definition of hybrid computing, which is an environment that has some part of its compute on premises and some part of its compute in the cloud. And I think Grant did a great job of listing a bunch of different areas where that's the case. I found myself thinking of, there's a computer that is like, if my arm was 10 feet long, I could be touching a computer right now that is a disconnected edge device. It's known as my house's power meter, right? It is an edge computing device that creates data that's really important to the power company, but they have to come by and get somewhere near it to read the data from my smart meter. And there are thousands and thousands of other things just like that, where there needs to be some type of compute at the edge or in a data center. Grant mentioned there are a number of things where they really are best done in the data center, at least right now. But at the same time, so many companies have moved workloads into the cloud. And for now, we have to coexist with both.
And Grant, before we dig into those 4 use cases, I'm just curious, in the last 6 months, since the world has completely changed, have you seen any one of those use cases leading edge, or anything that's kind of new as businesses look to transform and have to leverage digital transformation and cloud in order to survive and eventually thrive?
I think they're all equally important, and we hear them all. I think it just depends on the stage that the customer is at, right? There are some businesses that the edge computing use case may not be applicable, for instance, right? But no, I don't think I can call out any particular one. I think they're all important for the hybrid use case.
All right, if you're just joining us, Lisa Martin talking with AWS, Grant Liu, and Mr. Backup, Curtis Preston. We're talking about hybrid cloud trends. What's going on? We just talked about the trends definition. Now we're going to dig into those 4 use cases that Grant talked about. So Grant, the first one, data center extension. Let's double click into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to just take a pause here too. Most of what we do, 90% of what we do, what we build at AWS is really driven by customers. So this is really the voice of the customer, right? The other 10%, you might ask, what about the other 10%? Well, the other 10% is customers don't always articulate what they want, then we try to invent on their behalf. So everything I'm going to be talking about driven by customers. So when we talk about data center extension, I mean, these are some of the fundamentals that we built AWS on. So for instance, VPC, virtual private connections, right? These are network connections that are in AWS, and they allow you to connect your on-premises network with what's running in AWS. Now, on top of that, you might want to, again, like I mentioned before, improve the network connectivity between those two. Well, we offer something called Direct Connect, where you can hook up that VPC to what's on premises and make sure that you've got better throughput, more consistent performance as well. So again, you can see that we're extending the network into the public cloud. Another great example, and very applicable to Druva actually, related to Druva, is, for instance, AWS Gateway Server. So that gateway is something that you can deploy on premises as a VM or a fully loaded hardware as well as software. You can deploy that on premise, and then what that allows you to do is your on premises applications can use cloud storage seamlessly. You got a local cache for improved performance, but that allows you to use familiar protocols like file protocols. It allows you to, perhaps you want to use AWS Data Sync for NFS, right? But again, that's extending storage from on-premises into the cloud.
And the second use case, AWS services I wrote down, aligning to on-prem applications that have to stay there.
Yep, absolutely. So again, to review, this is when you have extremely low latency requirements. So again, we're listening to customers and they were asking for this. So we delivered something called AWS Outposts. So AWS Outposts is essentially an appliance that we will ship, we will rack and stack install, we will fully manage it. And it's the same hardware that we run AWS on. It's the same services that we run in AWS public cloud. So for instance, S3 is going to land this year, but we've got EBS, we've got EC2 in there. So customers can develop applications and solutions on premises and also use the AWS services in this Outpost appliance, right? So the important thing here is customers don't want to build 2 times with different APIs or have to operate things with different management and control planes. What Outpost gives them is a consistent API that they can develop against, as well as the same control plane, the same management that they're used to in the public cloud. All the same functionality is there on premises for them.
And the third, edge computing.
So edge computing, we could probably do another one of these just on edge computing and IoT. But I think the fundamentals around that are really around our Snowball family as it relates to hybrid cloud. So for instance, Snowball, we can actually ship an appliance to you, or even like roll in a truck, snowmobile, and then get large amounts of data, many hundreds of petabytes of data, and move that data into the cloud. For edge compute, we created Snowball Edge, again, listening to customers, where Snowball Edge actually has compute capabilities built in so that you can deploy those devices into these disconnected environments, maybe do some pre-processing, and then use Snowball Edge, ship it back to us, and then load that information into the public cloud for more resilient long-term storage, as well as more advanced processing.
So we're a big fan of the Snowball Edge product because we incorporated in our offering. So customers that are either new to Druva and need to back up a significant amount of data to the cloud, or if they're an existing customer and they have a new workload that is large enough to warrant doing this, they simply go to the Druva console and specify that they want one or more Snowball Edges, and Amazon ships it to them, directly from Amazon, preloaded with our technology, and the customer plugs that in and directs backups to the Snowball Edge device. And then once those backups are complete, they ship it back, and then Amazon does the job of uploading that into the account. And so it is a significantly faster way to send hundreds of the first backup of hundreds of terabytes to the cloud.
Curtis, just double clicking on that, one of the things that Grant, you shared a few minutes ago is 90% of what AWS is doing is determined by the customer. This is AWS responding and working with the voice of the customer. Curtis, same question. I imagine that's what Druva is doing with what you guys are able to do and enable customers to do with Snowball Edge.
Yeah, definitely. We had an existing offering where we had software that they could load on an appliance of their choice. We also could ship them an appliance, but it was a much more complicated process back in the day. Once we were able to automate the process via AWS, the customer can simply go to the console and order it. It doesn't even cost them anything extra. And so they wanted an easier, smoother process, which also makes it quicker. And we actually worked quite a bit with Amazon to get this, to make sure that our software worked well, out of the gate.
Excellent. Grant, let's go into that fourth use case with respect to ISV software compatibility.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously Druva is an ISV as well. So thank you for the partnership. And like Curtis was saying, we co-developed some of these solutions, right, where we're helping them build on our solutions. But when I'm talking about ISVs, like there's incumbent ISVs that have on-premises solutions. In particular, I was thinking about VMware, for instance. So VMware for managing compute resources on-premises, virtualization. I mean, that's a name that's well known. It's one of our partners. So what we set out to do is customers had a large deployment of those. They have skill sets that are built up over time. They want to be able to reuse those skill sets in the cloud as well. So we partnered with VMware. We co-engineered something with them. It's VMware in the cloud, where this is a product that is fully supported by VMware. Again, co-developed with Amazon, exclusive with Amazon. This allows us to deploy VMware tools into the AWS public cloud. And then you see that it's the same management control plane, the same APIs, everything is the same between on-premises and the public cloud.
Excellent. Let's go into our final topic here, Curtis. With everything that we've talked about, the trends, those 4 use cases that Grant outlined, you talked about what Druva is, a little bit of what Druva is doing with AWS with respect to that. What are, in your perspective, some of the best practices that you can share for protecting a hybrid cloud environment?
I've been in the backup space for almost 30 years now. And my mantra has always been back up all the things. And when the only thing that concerns me about a hybrid cloud is that many people use data protection solutions that are not hybrid, that they have one solution for their data center, another solution for something in the public cloud, another solution for VMware Cloud on AWS, another solution for a SaaS solution like Microsoft 365. And then, we're not really talking about endpoints, but then they also have another solution for endpoints, or they completely ignore endpoints altogether. So first off, I just want to make sure that we back up all the things. Don't come to me and tell me that this thing or that thing doesn't need to back up. There are many stories about customers who have lost data because they felt that the cloud vendor, whoever it was already backing up their data for them, which they weren't. And we keep trying to tell people that their cloud data needs to be backed up, their mobile data needs to be backed up, and obviously their data center needs to be backed up. So I would say backing up all the things is number one. And then number two is, as much as possible, try to simplify that activity. And as far as I know, and again, I've been in the industry for a long time and I've looked at an awful lot of solutions. I don't know of another solution outside of Druva that can handle all of those things in a single product. And so when you do that, when you're able to simplify, you simplify your training, you simplify your ramp up, because backup is, it's not it's not the sexiest part of IT. It doesn't attract. No one goes to college to become a backup administrator. They might go to be a developer or something like that. And so what happens is you get this revolving door on the backup activity. And so it's just super important to keep the backup process as simple as possible. And I don't know of a way to make it any simpler than to have a single product that handles everything, where you don't have to administer the back end of things. That's the biggest thing that I think a SaaS solution offers. A true SaaS solution automatically grows, right? Our technology runs in AWS, so we're able to your storage automatically grows. The amount of compute you need to handle the backup side of things and the restored side of things automatically grow. Grant brought up VPC. We actually use VPCs for DR. So we have a DR as a service offering so that customers can decide up front which VMs they want to recover in a disaster, the order that they specify, and then we can just prepare that so that in a disaster, they literally click one button and all of their VMs are restored amazingly within about 15 to 20 minutes. They can specify an RPO of as tight as 1 hour, because that's how often Phoenix can back up your data center, and then an RTO of 15 to 20 minutes. And that's regardless of the number of VMs. And that's all because of the way cloud works. And that's a beautiful way to handle hybrid cloud, where you keep the VMs that you want to keep in the data center. Perhaps some of the VMs are running in VMC, and we can restore all of those, as many as you need, within 15 to 20 minutes in the VPC in Amazon.
And I have the good fortune of being able to talk with a lot of Druva customers. You both talked about voice of the customer. And one of the things I hear consistently is something that aligns, Curtis, to what you said, and that is not just the simplification of the backup, but the considerable amount of time that the person or people have back when they consolidate with Druva, being able to see everything, backing up all the things from a centralized plane, and how much more time they have back in their day to do much more strategic work for IT and for the business. Another thing that we've talked about several times during our 10 episode series here is backing up all the things with respect to cloud data. We've had a number of episodes talking about Salesforce when they ended support for data recovery back in July. We've talked about Microsoft 365, and a lot of customers saying, yeah, we didn't understand that shared responsibility model. So I just want to tell the audience, if you missed any of our previous episodes, you can find them all on the Druva LinkedIn Live page. Grant, it's been so great to have you here. Thank you for sharing your perspectives on hybrid cloud, what it is, what it isn't, the use cases, and what AWS is doing to build with customers. We appreciate your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, everyone. Great being here.
Our pleasure. And Curtis, it's always great to talk to you about backing up all the things. I think we need a t-shirt and a mug. Back up all the things.
Yeah, I need to back up all the things. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll put in a plug for a blog that I just wrote, by the way, that goes into the Microsoft 365 thing. There was a really big incident that happened with a big Microsoft 365 customer that proves the point that we've been trying to make, that you need to back it up.
Awesome.
Back up all the things on AWS, if you folks don't mind, can put in the plug there as well.
just add that little part at the end.
There we go. Back up all the things on AWS, all the branding folks listening. Excellent, guys. Well, thank you for sharing. Druva/AWS. Look at this marketing help we got going on here. Guys, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Thank you, audience, for watching. If you tuned in late and there's something that you want to catch up, not to worry. This episode will be available in full as soon as we are done with the live broadcast. We thank you for your time, your participation, and we look forward to seeing you soon.